On this episode of Mad Ginger Customs, we're going to teach you how to fix your own air conditioning using my son's girlfriend's car because her car has no AC. She had 3 people look at it. They couldn't fix it. I'm going to give it a shot. Let's go. All right, guys, we're back. It's raining again in Connecticut because, you know, Connecticut's a miserable place, but it rains all the time to make it more miserable. Don't ever move here. What we have today is a 2007 Subaru Outback high performance variety.
I like to party.
This is Emma's car. That's Emma. This is Evan.
Hello.
Emma had a coolant issue, which we thought was, you know, maybe an issue, but it turned out to be just a reservoir needed to be filled. And while she was here, she mentioned that she didn't have air conditioning. And I said, well, I'll take a look at it. I've fixed a few in my day. And she says, oh, don't bother. What do you say, 3 people already looked at it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so 3 people already looked at it. I said, it's probably just low on refrigerant. She says, no, they check that. I said, I don't believe that. So what we did was, I'm going to run you through just diagnosing this really quick. We've already diagnosed it, but I'm going to run through it really quick with you guys in case this helps you, because this is not just a Subaru thing. This is an anybody thing. All right, so real brief, right? Well, what is air conditioning? Air conditioning is the removal of heat, not the addition of cold. People think that you're adding cold to the compartment. You're not. You're moving the heat from the passenger compartment. You're expelling it out of the condenser in the front. So basically, you're compressing refrigerant and it gets sent through a metering device. It flashes off, it picks up the heat, brings it to the front of the car where it's exhausted like a radiator from the condensing unit. So a couple things. This is a compressor, AC compressor, all right? This has an electrical connector here, and what that does is you put 12 volts to this, it creates a magnetic field, and it pulls this clutch in or out, dependent upon. And then that's what locks the compressor in to remove the refrigerant. The first thing you need to check is when you turn your air conditioning on, does this thing go click and start spinning visually? The first thing we checked was with Emma's is it did not do that. So I checked if we had 12 volts here, and we did not. So what we did was we moved on to the relay, which for a Subaru, which Subaru spelled backwards is you are a bus. I don't know if you know that or not. There's nomenclature in this box. Is nomenclature too big of a word? There's like a map, and this is where you find all the hidden treasures of the vehicle. So down in the corner, which you can't see because there's no light, is this relay. This relay is here. If you notice, we removed it. And I'm going to tell you why. So what we did was we turned the car on and we checked the coil side of the relay. Evan has the brand new relay and he's going to hand that to me. So the way the relay works is across the top 2 terminals is coil voltage. That's the signal from the switch inside or the controller to engage this relay. It puts 12 volts here, and then it makes the connection. All it is making a connection between the 2 bottom terminals. So it basically just puts them together. It's a switch. So what we did was we said, does it get 12 volts here? Which it did. And when Emma turns on the switch in the car, does it get 12 volts here? And it did.
Oh my God!
So we knew that the relay was most likely bad. So what we did was we grabbed a jumper wire, and all we did was jump out the 2 bottom terminals, and then miraculously the clutch started spinning.
Fact.
That's part 1 of the problem. Part 2 of the problem was once we had the clutch engaged, we put a gauge. This is like a simple cheapie that you can get at any auto parts store, Wally World, AutoZone, you know, anything. And it's just a low side gauge. Don't overfill your system. They just have a safety valve, they will blow out. Ideally, you would want a manifold set where you do a high side gauge, which is the head pressure gauge, and then the suction pressure gauge, and they should be proportionate. Now, if your system's completely empty, it's probably got air in it, you gotta evacuate it, this doesn't apply to you. If you got a little bit of pressure, because most of them do, because they leak out of the low side, all of this should work. So we're at the point now that you're caught up with me. We're gonna put this relay in its home, because it likes its home. And then we're gonna hook up a gauge, and Emma's gonna fire this bad Larry up. and we're gonna see if we can't make it frosty. So we just snapped on our little gauge on the back, right? And you say, well, Dave, that's got pressure in it. The compressor's off. That means nothing to the 3 people that already looked at Emma's car. It means nothing.
You think I'm stupid?
This relay is just gonna push in. No magic here till I break it off in my hand. There we go. Now what we're gonna do is, Evan, these kids just both woke up.
At 12.
At 12.
Excuse me?
And Emma's gonna fire the car up with the air conditioning off.
Off.
Guys, keep in mind this car has 200,000 miles on it. She uses a bit of oil. Last legs. Now, Emma is gonna turn on the air conditioning and this should pull in. See how it pulled in? Now look at the gauge. Suction down to nothing. So what we're gonna do is fill that up a little bit. All right, so these are like a one-shot deal with this can. This has a piercing valve that goes into this. So you screw these things on, and you don't want to add refrigerant until it's running, and you want to add it slow. So Emma's going to fire the car back up. Now she's going to turn on her air conditioning. And see, watch that thing go down. So we're going to add refrigerant to it. We're going to keep checking it. Does it keep pulling to nothing? See how it continues to go higher and higher and higher. So we're going to keep filling it until it gets into the cold range, or into the filled range. Sometimes you got to tip them upside down. So that clutch stops spinning, Evan. That means that it hit the low pressure switch too much. There it goes. Yeah. When it hits the low pressure switch, it shuts off because it thinks it's too cold. So we're gonna let it come back up, because now it's starting to cycle this. So once the pressure comes back up, this should engage back to running. See, that's how it works. And then it's gonna pull back down. But we still need more refrigerant. No, we gotta get it when it's running. And it is cool out today, so we're not gonna really fill the snot out of this. And this thing is empty, empty, empty. Let's go see. Is it any cooler? Is it really? It's cold, right? All right, so here's the thing. This is supposed to cycle. When you fill these, the temperature is proportionate to how warm it is outside. You guys have to remember that. Don't overfill them. So what this thing's doing is it's cycling on and off with just one can in it. So it's gonna come up to pressure because it's getting warmer in the cab, and then it's pulling down. And it's just going a little bit too low. We're gonna crack that second can open.
Yeah, baby. Yeah.
If you look on this car, it tells you 13 to 15 ounces of refrigerant. These cans are 12, so this thing was pretty empty. We're just gonna give it another sniff, not much, because we don't want too much in it. So when it cycles back on, we're just gonna pull this once. We're gonna watch it come up. So here's how you cycle when it's working. So basically it's cold inside. Evan, ask her if it's still cold.
Still cold? Yeah.
So it's gonna pull down. It's gonna work its way through. It's gonna understand. It's gonna hit the low pressure switch and say, I'm cold enough, and it's gonna come back up. That's how it doesn't freeze the evaporator in the car. So guys, that's all it is. You know, there's no magic with air conditioning. It's really just gases and pressures. There's a high pressure switch, a low pressure switch, a clutch for the compressor, and a metering device. That's pretty much it. I do HVAC for a living. This is obviously a dumbed down version of that. I hope this helps you guys out, because this is really all it is. And Emma's got nice cold air. Let's go check in with her. How cold?
It's so cold.
Is it really cold?
Nice. Yeah.
Oh, it is cold. Okay, it's really cold. So guys, I hope this helps you guys out. Like every other video, you watch me do it, and if I can do it, you can absolutely do that.